So let's go over the best way to craft your high-end budget gloves for kinetic plastic clustering on Hyro. To get this craft done, you're probably going to be looking at about 15 to 25 divines from start to finish if you buy the fractured base. So the best in slot for us is going to be the fractured abyssal socket. Those are, I think, about 8 or 9 to 10 divines at the minute, depending on the time of day that you're buying them. They're actually pretty simple to make. So once you have the abyssal socket fracture, all we're doing is spamming Essence of Zeal to get us the attack speed. All we want when we're doing this is we're looking for intelligence. T1 ideally if you wanted to stop that, T2 if you didn't want to do T1. But because this is going to be the best gloves for our build, we're going to be trying to get T1 intelligence. Once we get T1 intelligence, all we have to do apart from that is then we're going to have to Eldritch the prefixes, or we could slam the prefixes on the boat. But you want to kind of keep your intangibility a bit low, so that way then when you do go to slam on the boat, you can keep something like this as well. If you get dexterity, T1 dexterity, because of the boat as well, you're able to swap that over, so it makes crafting these a little bit easier. We're just going to keep going now until we get intelligence, and I'll be right back. So we got our T1 intelligence. What we do from there on is we want to Eldritch the prefixes. So the way we're going to Eldritch the prefixes, we're going to we're blocking life. The reason we block life is because it has the highest weight, one of the highest weights that it can hit, mana being the highest weight. But for our build we want mana, so what we're doing is we're always going to just craft the low life. And so after we craft low life, the reason we put Exarch Influence on it is for the annuls. In terms of actually using Eldritch Exalts, we don't really need to do that because normal Exalts work just as well. So once we have the influence on it, and we have the crafted life, to be fair, I should have removed the life before I put that on. The reason I removed the life there is because the Eldritch Annul could hit the crafted mod and it's just a wasted annul. So once the Eldritch mod is, or the last prefix is removed that we don't want, we go back to crafting our life. Low tier life, it doesn't matter which one you pick as long as there's a single life roll on it. Once there's a life roll on it, you cannot exalt another life roll. You can exalt a hybrid life roll, but you cannot exalt a flat life. And then from there, we kind of just go on to got T11 mana. At this point, I wouldn't go any further. Depending on your budget is kind of where you want to stop. If you want to stop at T2s, T3s for the prefixes, you can, as this is going to be the more expensive part to do. This could take you a while, this could be done very quick. It all kind of depends on your RNG. Now another way to save a little bit of money as well is when you're going for the Eldritch, for the Annul, to remove the low tier that you slam with the Exalt, remove your crafted mod, because if you don't remove your crafted mod, it has a chance to hit it, which basically means you're kind of wasting an Annul. So once you remove that, we get rid of it. I can't click. We get rid of it again, and then we just go back to crafting the life. Now there is a regex that you can use for searching here to make it a bit easier. I'm a bit too lazy to put that in at the minute. So on to the next slam, we get T10 mana. So this is kind of the process that you would go through for crafting these gloves. Again, like I said, it could take you a while, it could be quite quick, all depending on what kind of rolls you want to stop in. So I'll be back once we have something half decent. So when something like this happens where you have one prefix that you want, but your second prefix missed, you could either go to the boat and slam the last prefix, so you get 4 options, or you could exalt it this way. And then if you do get something that you're not happy with, that isn't good for our build in the slightest, for example, cold damage to attacks is terrible. If the annul misses, you kind of just have to go back to the first part of crafting life and slamming. This is a bit easier now with the boat, and you got rid of the mod we didn't want. So it makes it easier with the boat because it gives us more options, and basically kind of saves us the crafting process in the long term. This is the slow, kind of painful part, annoying part about it. T3 mana there, that's fine. So if you get T3 mana like that, we just go to the boat, and we slam the last prefix. It is, again, it's a bit of RNG as well, and it depends on how much intangibility you want to use up, because obviously the more intangibility you use up, the less chance you get for getting 4 options on the outcome. Also, another thing that you could do with this craft as well, if you get the perfect T1 prefix that you want, or you already have 2 perfect prefixes for yourself, you can use a Foulborn Exalt onto the boat to try give yourself the best chance for getting that last perfect suffix or last perfect prefix. It's exactly what I did when I did these gloves. These gloves were incredibly lucky to make, but the last prefix, the flat in or the flash ES, was slammed on the boat with a Foulborn Exalt. It is an expensive part, but I mean, if you're already sitting at 5 perfect T1 rolls that you know that's perfect for your build for your gloves, you do not want to. You want to decrease the chance of getting a bad modifier. I know with a Foulborn Exalt you're not always guaranteed to get something good, but it better increases the chances of you actually getting something good versus using a normal Exalt. Again, it comes down to the type of budget you have and how much you actually want to spend on crafting the gloves. So let's see what we get now for the last prefix. Again, we want to keep the life there so that way it can't roll life. Anything here was good, more than good enough, because we can always craft onto the other prefix and just call it a day. So if this gives us flash or percent yes, we just craft on the other one and that'll be done for the gloves until we get a bigger budget and want to spend more on the craft.
A firm grip.
And that was extremely unlucky. It gave us 1 option back, but as you could see, it didn't use up any of the tangibility. So again, this is going to come down to annulling off the mod that it gave us that we didn't want. So once again, we're gonna remove the life just so it has the best chance. So this comes down to a 50-50 whether it hits the lightning damage attacks or the mana. And it hit the mana, so or hit the attacks that we craft on life again, and we go back to the boat. This is basically the steps. We got 4 options that time. So we got hybrid and then a bunch of useless stats. But hybrid is also not bad. It's not the best mod for us because it won't give us the most ES possible, but it's more than enough. Like even gloves like this for well under 15 divs, it depending on your luck or on your RNG, it could be a bit less, could be a bit more. These gloves are more than good enough to use until you want to redo them again. And the thing is, with these type of gloves that you craft, they will always have a sell-on clause that you can get most of your money back simply because it already has the fractured abyssal socket. So one other craft that I wanted to go over today was the wand, so let's get into it. So to make the wand, I know a lot of people that are not playing this version. I know there's a lot of people that are playing the Indigon's Grace of the Goddess, Shaper Touch, Fallen version. I do not like that version. I prefer my version over theirs. I think it's a lot easier to play. I have played the other version before, but again, it kind of comes down to personal preference. I prefer this one over the other one. So let's get into how to make the wand. My version of the build has a lot higher max hit than the Fallen version would. I know the Fallen version has block and that's really good, but in terms of an overall max hit, this is going to be higher than Fallen is. And I know our version doesn't have block, so some people might not like that playstyle, but this is what I prefer. So yeah, let's get into the wand craft. The way we're going to craft this wand is going to be the exact same way, similar as we crafted the gloves. So we're going to be using Essence of Zeal to get the attack speed onto it. The other 2 suffixes that we're going to be looking for are going to be crit and crit multi. They're the only thing that matters really, and we're just going to keep going. So what you do now is if you get one of the mods, like say one of the crit chance or the crit multi first to pop up, what you can do is you can annul off the last mod and then either slam it on the boat, or you would have to lock your suffixes. If you lock your suffixes, you have to reforge crit. If you reforge crit, there's only one other crit mod on this wand, on this base that you can hit, and it's 2 divs a try, so it does get expensive if you want to go down that way. I think using the boat is a little bit cheaper than using 2 divines each time to reforge crit on it, but it also depends on how much intangibility you want to actually put on the wand while you're making it. So we'll have to use the bow for maybe 1 or 2 more steps. So if you're able to get 1 open prefix, 1 open suffix like this, you want to craft on the last prefix. If you craft on the last prefix, the boat can only slam a suffix. So when you slam a suffix, you have a better chance of getting the crit multi or the crit chance, because they're both the same weight and they're quite high in the weight. So to actually get it is quite easy. It just comes down to a little bit of RNG, and I would probably recommend the boat over Reforge Harvest, because it is definitely cheaper to do it that way. So I'll be back once we have something decent for the wand. So I'm back. So like I said before, this is this exact situation that I was talking about. As you can see, we have an open prefix and an open suffix. If we craft absolutely any random prefix onto this, so that way that boat can only slam a suffix, and the weighting on the crit is actually quite high, so it doesn't matter any prefix that we can put on this, put onto it, and then we go and slam the suffix and hoping to hit crit. Now obviously this is going to be another case of where it's going to eat up your tangibility or intangibility every time that you do it, and you don't really, it depends on how much you want to use the boat versus normal harvest bench reforging. The harvest bench reforging is going to be more expensive because, like I said, it's 2 divines per try, but it also depends on what you want to settle on. I will be finishing this wand because I actually want to use it, because it's a tiny upgrade on the one I have. It's only a tiny upgrade because of the fractured mana is a little bit higher, and I might as well try to get the perfect one while I can. This is the exact kind of wand that you will be looking for in the end once it's finished. It is pretty easy to make once you get your suffixes done with the fractured prefix. If you do not have the fractured prefix, it can be a little bit harder to make. So let's see what the boat gives us. Again, for the people that are on a lower budget, you can settle for T2, T3, whatever you feel is good enough for you at the minute, and then obviously come back and redo it.
You'll be slinging spells.
There we go.
With the
We
best
got crit multi. We got our T1 crit multi first try. So now the suffixes are done, and because we crafted a prefix, we can now go to the beast, or we can go to the menagerie, and from the menagerie we can actually save ourselves some money, because again, locking suffixes is going to be 2 divines. If we just go to the menagerie and do a meta mod craft, it's guaranteed to give us suffixes can be changed. All we have to do now is just remove the crafted mod that's on there. Remove the crafting bench inside the menagerie still thinks you don't have any currency once you actually do. So we're just gonna remove the crafted mod, and now because we have that one open prefix, make sure you get your wild burst of matron. They're I think about 200C at the minute, so they are definitely cheaper than 2 divines. It's actually less than a divine at the minute to do the meta mod. All we do is we type in meta. If I could spell, that would be great. You will have to have a, I mean, you don't even need to have a good character for this to work. So once you kill all the beasts, you have your suffixes cannot be changed. And what I like to do from here is you can just use a Veiled Chaos Orb and work on from there. But because I really want to have a clean prefix, or no prefixes at all apart from the Veil mod and the fractured mana, I'm going to go back to the boat, and because the boat has a better chance of giving us a clean prefix, and that is more important to us. So let's see what we get now. So once we're back onto the boat, we're going to do pretty much exactly what we said. Now this does cost a little bit of sulfite, or sulfur, but I think it's the best outcome for us, because you really do want to have those clean prefixes.
Now
There we go. We got 4 options, which is perfect. And as well, once we have this, we can honestly just pick the one that has the lowest intangibility. We don't need the intangibility again for any of the other crafts that are coming up to finish this wand, but the reason we would still go for a lower tangibility than not is because we're divining it. If you wanted to divine it afterwards, you would probably try to pick the one that has the lowest, like I said. So to get the Unveil mod that we want, now this might not happen the first try you do it, but it is extremely likely to give you the mod that you want. And even if it gives you the wrong Unveil mod, because we have that open prefix, we can go back to the menagerie, we can repeat the step again. So what I'm looking for here is going to be Chaos Pen, and we're almost always guaranteed to get a Chaos Pen because there isn't much veiled prefixes that are left. You're always guaranteed, not always guaranteed, but a very high chance to hit Chaos Pen. We have the Chaos Pen, so now that is done. So to make this divining a little bit easier onto the boat, remove the last crafted mod. So this wand is now perfect and pretty much finished. You're just going to craft on your last prefix and that'll be it. If there is any questions about this, the boots, or any other piece of gear that I'm wearing, the PoE Ninja will be linked below, so you can just have a look at that and ask me about any of the gear that you guys want to see crafted, and I will get back to you and make another one. So thanks for watching.